This is Paul Newman with the Cashflow Cafe podcast. Today we have Mr. Clay Helton on the show. Today, Coach, I wanted to get a 2025 season preview and just kind of see what you're excited about in this year's football team.
Yeah, well, Paul, thanks for having me. This has always been special to get together with you and share some information. Really excited about this group. This has been a 3-year project of acquisition of some really talented players and retention in today's college football landscape.
Which is very impressive what you've done.
Yeah, and so to be able to have a bunch of guys that are 3rd, 4th, 5th-year players in the locker room that, know your systems, understand the standards, the expectations that you're looking for, and they hold themselves to that standard. In year 1, it was just about, okay, gosh, there's not a lot of depth here. We're installing new systems. We're installing a new culture. And now you get into the 4th season, that culture is established, the players understand it, and there's been consistency, consistency in a head coach that's going into his 4th year, a defensive coordinator going into his 3rd. Ryan Applin, our offensive coordinator, has been with us for 4 years. Blake Wilson has been here since the beginning on special teams. So there's just a lot of consistency in our building right now, not only with staff, but within that locker room, and that's able to put your best foot forward. We've established a bunch of trust, a bunch of relationships, and you look up and we got our best team going into this 25 season.
I think this thing that jumps out as me is chemistry, right? Like the coaches' chemistry, the players' chemistry. Even this is your first year, correct me if I'm wrong, is having a returning quarterback, right?
Definitely.
Let's shed a little bit of light on JC and the jump that we hope that he makes this year.
Yeah, definitely. You go out in your first year of playing college football and you go 6-2 in conference and you set the all-time completion ratio record for the history of the school.
Wow,
that's
impressive.
I've always thought the reps and experience help quarterbacks, and you can just see his confidence. He's got a little swagger about him, his maturity. He's in the best shape of his life. He went from a 20% body fat down to 12% body fat.
I've noticed he looks ready to roll.
He's in far his best shape, and you can just see there's a confidence, and it comes with knowing that one play, and he's got a chip on his shoulder, one play away from leading his team to a conference championship game last year, and he's riding that confidence right now. I saw it in the spring. We just finished up 14 practices of training camp as we now start preparing for Fresno State. So it helps you sleep at night, really, as a head coach, to know you have an established quarterback for the first time within your program.
That's awesome. And what do you think it's going to be like, Coach, for obviously JC going to that big of a stadium in USC and also you returning? What kind of emotions and feelings is that going to bring back for you walking in that stadium again?
Well, I'm most excited for our kids, to be honest with you. You think about it, this is the first time in school history our school has ever gone out to California. First time in school history we've ever played a team from California. And then, the first time since 1984 to open up with back-to-back road games. So what an awesome experience, awesome challenge for our football team, to be able to go out to California and get to stay there, which I really think.
You're going to stay there for a week, correct?
Yeah. To thank Dr. Murrah and Chris Davis, we're going to stay in the Dallas Cowboys training facility, in Oxnard, California, and be able to train there in between Fresno and USC.
Wow.
So I'm excited for the kids. I'll probably have a dozen kids that have never been on a plane before, let alone go out to California and play 2 really good teams in Fresno State and USC, to be a part of walking into the Coliseum, that was built in 1923.
Couldn't imagine.
That has hosted Super Bowls, World Series, Olympics. The Pope has blessed Mass there.
Wow.
The president has addressed the nation there. So it's just a place of history. And so, part of being a college football player is being a part of special experiences, and that's why you come to Georgia Southern. We've had the opportunity to walk into a Nebraska and a Wisconsin, and now we're getting the opportunity to go to California and play 2 really good teams. So I'm really excited for our football team to have that opportunity to compete in California.
That's incredible. What do you think? You going to take them to some of your favorite restaurants? You got a steakhouse? Where are we taking the team to? You got to have a spot that's like, okay, team. I know it's a lot to feed that many men, but is there a spot that you're looking forward to going back to?
Well, it's basically a work trip, and what's really neat is we're kind of in training camp. We're going to fly Friday night before the Fresno State game into Fresno, play Saturday, stay in Saturday night in Fresno, and then we're going to go over the grapevine and and get into Oxnard, California, and stay there all the way up until Friday. So we won't be in Los Angeles. We'll be outside of Los Angeles basically Sunday through Friday morning, prepare for that game, and then come into Los Angeles. Now, I know Miss Angela, she'll be at all her.
She's going to hit the spots. There you go. She's going to be in
She'll be in
week.
LA all week. But for me and the team, we're going to be getting ready for that next opportunity, which will be USC.
Coach, who do you expect some of our better leaders, and what do you look for in some of the leaders on our football team?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm really fortunate. Anytime you have those third, fourth, fifth-year guys, they've learned your culture, they learned your standards, and they're upholding. We're a player-driven team right now. In year one, it was more coach-driven. And now with guys that have been a part of this from the beginning, I look at guys like, and both guys that have been with us and newcomers that have established their leadership positions. Obviously, having J.C. French back as a starting quarterback, provides a ton of leadership, not only through example, but more importantly, what he says to the team. Josh Dallas has been an immense leader. Caleb Cook has been a great leader along with Pishon Wembley. But then you got some newcomers that are doing a really nice job too. Brendan Harrington, who was a captain at Appalachian State.
That's wild.
And now, now is just being a true leader of our football team defensively. You got Brandon Tyson, who was an All-American at Elon, has come in and been an unbelievable leader. I think of Davion Rhodes, who went to Sunbelt Media Days, with us, and what he's done from day one since he started. He was one of the first guys I met when I came to Statesboro.
Oh, yeah.
And now he's one of our best leaders. And so I'm proud because it's just not one or two guys. It's a host of guys that, have been a part of this for a long time and want to do something special. And so we look for guys that don't like the game, they don't love the game, they live the game on a daily basis, that they chose this way of life, that we are where we're supposed to be. Yep. We show up early and we give our absolute best effort no matter what we're doing, whether it's school, whether it's strength and conditioning, yep, whether it's rehabilitation, whether it's football. You're going to have great attitude and great effort from us, and that's what our standard is.
Coach, what do you think one of our best traditions is? What is your most favorite tradition that stands out about Georgia Southern?
Well, I tell you, when I first took the job and I was looking at everything, I grew up in the Southeast, so you knew how special, Statesboro, Georgia was. You knew how special Georgia Southern was. And then you get your boots on the ground. And I remember sitting down with Dr. Marrero and sitting down with Jerry Benko in the interview process and saying, guys, I understand what this place is. I've had an opportunity to play at Auburn University. I've had the opportunity to coach at, a USC.
Yep.
We're going to honor all traditions because there are some of the best traditions in the history of college football here right in Statesboro. And we'll fight like heck for innovation and how we recruit, how we train kids, our systems and how we attack the field. But as far as the traditions go, those aren't going anywhere. And so there's some things that truly hit my soul in a special way. And two of them really for me is there's something unique in when you cross the bridge to go to beautiful Eagle Creek and you understand the foundation that has been laid on that holy ground.
Oh, yeah.
And our guys even know. They go there and they understand it's a way of life of how this program was built. And you cross that bridge and you hit the ground running and you feel the spirits, the ghosts of Herc Russell and all the great players. And then there is nothing like, and I'm on it every time, there's nothing like getting on that yellow bus. There's nothing like with your team going through campus, coming up to the stadium, and you're on the old yellow school bus.
That to me,
singing the Valley song,
oh, yeah.
and it's just it's about a 4-minute bus ride. But it is the beauty of brotherhood.
That thing rocks a little. That thing rocks a little bit.
I'm scared to death. At some point in time, they're going to tip it over.
We don't want that headline.
But man, it is. It's such a place of tradition and honor, and we're thankful to honor all the traditions.
I love it, Coach. When you're recruiting and you're going to get your guy and you sign him, what does it look like? What are you looking for the most if you had top two qualities in a recruit, in a young high school football player? Yeah,
that's a great question because I think nowadays the tape is easy to see the talent. I challenge our coaches to get into the intangibles. We want guys with captain capabilities. So like I said, they don't like the game, they don't love the game. They live it, and you see it in every attribute of their life. They're great teammates in good times and adversity. I love having our coaches go out to practice, to go out to games. Every opportunity I'm allowed, I go out just so you can see body language, so you can see what type of teammate they are. Do they have a physical and mental toughness? Do they show discipline and accountability? Do they put the team over themselves? So there's a bunch of attributes that go into it, and I think that is so important in today's game. Especially as you look at transfer portals and things like that. That you have to be aware. It's easy with high school guys because you're recruiting them for 2 years.
You're watching them.
Yeah. I mean, you get a 2-year relationship.
Right.
You have to do a lot of homework, especially in the transfer portal, because you may only know a guy 2 weeks, and you got to try to find as much information as you can before you make a decision whether to bring them in your football family. And so it has gotten a little bit harder because of the transfer portal. We've batted really well. I see the guys that have come on board with us, like a Brandon Harrington and a Brandon Tyson, a Camden Brown. I even think of last year Tyler Fromm and what he did for us.
Great.
So the tape is easy, as I tell the coaches. We really have to dive into the weeds and make sure that we have the right person with the right character, the right discipline, the right accountability, the physical and mental toughness that the game does, and they're willing to put the team over themselves. And they're not individuals. They're about our football family.
Attitude to me is such a big deal. It's like you've got to have the right attitude to play this game, and it's just the negatives, and you can't deal with that. You've got to have team players, or the guy that's going to get you a penalty for something stupid. You know what I mean? What are you saying to those guys that are just doing those bonehead plays? Are you just losing your hair or what?
Well, the first thing is they understand that if they make that decision-making penalty, they're going to stand over by me until my blood pressure goes down.
You're right. You're right over here.
Yeah, and so there's a difference. You have practice, and then you have our scrimmages. And, you go into, battling a man for 16 weeks, basically through spring ball, through the summer, through training camp. There's going to be some times that emotion goes up, and usually as emotion goes up, intelligence goes down.
Exactly.
So if you get in those emotional situations, that's where you have to be most disciplined.
Right.
And if you can't be disciplined, then you're going to stand by me, because we're only going to put people out there that we can trust to make the right decisions, no matter how good a player you are. And so our guys learn that, and you have to reinforce it. You have to reinforce it in scrimmage situations when we put the ball down and we're playing, acting like it's an actual game. If you bring emotion into the game where it makes you make a poor decision and a 15-yard flag, then you understand that you just hurt the entire football team with that one decision. So it's a constant battle. It's constant talking to. But I think it's something that there's a fine line between competition and then, doing something that is outside the line of competition.
That's right. Coach, when you're in game, and what would you say your biggest strength in game? Stress hits and all the things that come up, or you got to change the game plan. What would you say one of your biggest strengths are?
Yeah, and you get better at it every year. Having the opportunity to do it for a decade, I don't consider myself a finished product. My dad always said, don't get comfortable, don't get stagnant in anything you do.
Right.
You can always get better.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm very fortunate because of having Brandon Bailey, having Ryan Applin, having Blake Wilson. You're talking about guys that have done it at a high level, and schematically I trust them to do their job. What does that allow me to do? It allows me to do the situational mastery that is involved within the game to decide whether we're going for it on fourth down, be able to handle time management, clocks, whether it's being ahead in a game, trying to run the clock out, whether it's 2-minute drives, being able to use my expertise as a former offensive coordinator in between series and provide knowledge about, hey, this is what they're doing. You may want to think about going to this. And so it's more a management of the game. I do call about 6 plays a game. Ryan Applin,
they're over there.
Ellis has still allowed me to do that and to have the honor of just, having the availability to say, hey, I see this line. I got it right here.
Yeah.
But, just to have the confidence in your coordinators allows you to be a better game manager. And I think that's probably my best attribute right now for our football team within game.
Coach, I wanted to touch base on your time at USC a little bit. That one of you did you win a Rose Bowl game there? I know you won a huge bowl game at some point there. What shed a little light on that?
Yeah, we had the opportunity with a really good. The 2016 football team played in the 2017 Rose Bowl, and to have that honor of representing USC, which is a fabulous school with unbelievable tradition, and being a part of history against a really good James Franklin Penn State team. In one of the greatest Rose Bowls that has ever been played. I mean, I don't think we still haven't tackled Saquon Barkley that day, and we got in a shootout with him and found a way to win 52-49, and a really special moment.
And was that Sam Darnold?
Yeah, Sam was the quarterback in that time. Juju Smith-Schuster, Adoree Jackson. Just a lot of terrific football players that were a part of that football team. That really, it was a great example of how to handle adversity. It was a team that started 1-3 on the year, and all of a sudden, bonded together, shut out the noise, and really held together firm and ran the table the rest of the way, and got to honor our school and our community by getting to play in that game. And so, great memory for me. And great relationships with that football team, lifelong.
I think that's one thing I think I would love about coaching is just the memories and the special relationships that you have with some of these players. I mean, I'm sure they still reach out today, and you're texting them after a good game. Hey, so I mean I think the bond that's behind the scenes, and I think that's what you're creating here at Southern is just the bond and the family and the culture is really unmatched.
Yeah, my dad has always taught me, coach them hard but love them hard, and I'm so fortunate to have Miss Angela as my wife. We've been married going on 31 years now. This is our 31st year of college football together. Wow. And so we've always taken the approach that we have 3 children by birth, and we have 120 we get the honor to adopt each and every year.
That's
and,
right.
And we've treated it that way. We've raised them like they're our sons, they're our family, and it produces that trust and relationships that they know we have a care and concern for them. My definition of success is I want to be 80 and then be 55, and they're looking back at me saying, "Coach, thank you. I'm taking care of my children's children because of what we accomplished not only on the field but off." And those are the relationships that last forever. And so it's been special for me. Angela, I love when the former players reach out to Miss Angela and say, "Hey, how's Big Horse doing?" And saw the game the other night, and and they always know they can pick up the phone and call me at any time. And now it's been a 360 whirlwind, to be honest with you. Those guys, I started coaching when I was 22 at Duke University, and now the guys I coached when I started beginning, they have their sons, and we're recruiting them. So it's been a whirlwind, but been a great career.
Where do you see yourself, Coach? Where do you see yourself heading to? And of course, we want you in Georgia Southern and Eagles as long as you can. What is the next 10, 15, 20 years if you fast forward to where you want your life to head to?
Yeah, I've been doing this. This is my 31st year of college football. I started at a very young age, so I'm 53. I got young man energy.
You are young.
Yeah, I got young man energy, and I've always believed in being in the moment and being where your feet are. My wife and I have enjoyed Statesboro so much. It's where we want to end up. We're going to retire in this city.
I'll be here too, so we'll be here together. So you'll be good.
We just love this community and what it's about. The people, the pace of things. The proximity to everything in the Southeast. It's just a great place to live day to day, and great people. And this place has been special to me because it was a challenge when you've been at USC and you've had that chance to be. There's probably only 5 or 6 programs like USC in the country, and then all of a sudden you get to come to something so similar that has such a tradition and such history. That's won 6 national championships, high expectations, high standards, and they've done it at the FCS level. Man, the last challenge for me is I want to be making a national product at the FBS level, and we're growing towards that. We want to be the 12th team in the playoff. I want everybody to when they look at our logo, to say, yeah, that's Georgia Southern. That's a special brand. And so it's something that has been really a challenge for me, and creates a fire in me since day one from I came here, and I want to finish that job. I want to be able to look up and say, man, we created something at the FBS level to the likes of, what Coach Russell did and Coach Johnson did, and all the great coaches and all the great players. We want to put it on that pedestal at the FBS level, and that's what we work tirelessly each and every day for.
I think where Georgia Southern is headed is amazing. What can we do to get more fans, the Atlanta fan base? Do we need to get them involved to kind of come down and pack us out a little bit more?
Yeah, we've been so fortunate over the last 2 years. It's really grown from the time I remember coming in November of 21. And when I was hired and being at that first game and being able to see on a rainy night, there were so many fans. I was like, gosh, this is incredible. What an incredible fan base. And then,
we're playing App State. I can't remember who.
It was Coastal Carolina. Yeah, it was a downpour.
Yeah.
And there were still fans there. And I was like, man, what a special – these are diehard, loyal fans. And so, then to see 2 years ago have all of a sudden I just go and ask, hey, it's time to set the all-time attendance record for a game. And the fan base does it. Over 26,000. Last year breaks the all-time attendance record for the season.
It's
last
trending.
year. And so I've always believed wins solve a lot. You win games. It just keeps on increasing. But I couldn't be more happy what our community does and what our fan base does. I love the fact that you're going to see Chris Davis be really proactive in not only Statesboro, where we're home, but Savannah, Atlanta. You watch what happens over the next couple of years under his leadership. I've been privy to some of the things. You need to get him on and let him share a couple. But he's got a definite plan to be able to generate even more interest in two of our lead cities, which are Atlanta and Savannah.
And I think with the NIL, I don't know if you want to touch base on that at all, but it was the NIL. Now it's switching to or there was the collective. You shed some issues.
So some people are calling it a revenue share. It's really a licensing agreement.
Okay.
And so what the NCAA has formulated and the House settlement has formulated is that each university is allowed to give a specific dollar in revenue share or licensing agreement up to, some schools will be above $20 million. I don't see that as far as the group of six getting to that point.
Right.
But it does allow us, which I'm really happy for the players, because you know how short the window is. You work with, in your business, you work with, college players, NFL players, and the window's so short for them. It's a 4 to 5 year college experience. Only 0.4% make it to the NFL. The lifespan of the NFL career is 3.3 years. So there's such a small window. So the ability to use your name, image, and likeness to be able to, garner some resources for you, your family, is a good thing. Now there needs to be guardrails, and I think we're working every day as with the NCAA, with the government, to be able to put those guardrails on. That's a work in progress.
Right.
But to find a happy balance between the two. And so I'm excited for the players. I'm excited for their families and the direction we've headed. Having done this for 3 decades, I've seen this game change so much, from whether it's rules to transfers to licensing agreements to and each time it may change. We adapt, but it's still the greatest game on earth. It's still, there's more passion.
There ain't nothing better than a fall Saturday.
No, there's no more passion on earth than college football on a Saturday. You can't bottle it. It's really special. So we as coaches, they don't pay us to make excuses. They pay us to find answers.
Right.
And so we'll adapt in any environment. We have for the last, for decades upon decades. For me, it's been the last 30 years. And I'll continue to adapt. And whatever's put before us, we'll find a way.
Well, you guys work hard, and I think the player retention is something I know you're proud of, and that's because they're buying in, to what you're doing. And I'm so excited about the Eagles this season. I think it's got a bunch of interesting storylines. I can't wait to watch you walk into USC again this year. Who's our biggest home game this year coming up?
The next one, Jacksonville State, the first one.
Exactly. Let's go and get.
I'm not going to fall for that one, but what I've learned about this league now going into my fourth
They're all
year,
tough.
It's
You can't single out.
Anybody can win the league. I mean, when you look at it, you think about the most Power Four wins by any group of 6 team has been
Sun Belt Conference.
The Sun Belt Conference.
Yeah.
The most bowl games by any group of 5 team has been the Sun Belt Conference over the last 3 years. You look at 2 years ago, there were 12 bowl teams. That was the most of any conference. So from top to bottom, this league is excessively tough. And if you don't bring your A game, as we saw last year, I thought we were a great response team after a loss. 4 times we had to go on the road after a loss, won all 4 games. Our biggest challenge this year, just being real, and I've told our football team, is being in a comfortable position and not being stagnant, not getting comfortable, but to slam it home, and we didn't do that versus ODU last year on the road, and we didn't do that versus Troy.
Right.
And that cost us. That cost us the opportunity to play in a championship game. And so I think there's a lesson learned there for our team. That was a younger team in that time. Now we're a year older, and we got that chip on our shoulder. So I look forward to those lessons being learned and then taking them to the field.
Coach, I'm gonna get you out of here on this. What do you do to let your hair down when I know you like to travel with your family, and I know that's always important. I know you've got your special places. What are you doing besides travel to kind of just, all right, let me relax?
Well, one of the neat things I have, and it's thankful for you because you ended up finding my home for me. But I've always had no matter where, the job is so hard. It's so hard, and it's such a grind that you have to have a place of sanctuary, and my home is my sanctuary.
I love it.
My wife is there to be able to have. I got a little pond right out of my backyard. I love to fish, and it could just be one tight line, and that brings my blood pressure down so much.
Good.
But I think Statesboro, Georgia, has been my peace. It's been my sanctuary. That's been my happiness, to be honest with you, to be able to have an 8-minute drive to work, to be able to do what I love, to be surrounded by great people, and be at a place in my home that it's a home. And I'm very fortunate. And thanks for finding it for me.
Well, Coach, Statesboro loves to have you here. I truly hope you're here for the next decade to provide the stability that you have. I really feel like something special is brewing, and I think this year we get it done with a Sun Belt championship.
Appreciate you, buddy. Hail Southern.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.